Are you asexual or on antidepressants? Let's talk about the connection between antidepressants and loss of libido. And this is an article by Freya India, and she says you deserve to know if your sexual identity is a side effect. But before I read the article to you, I wanted to say that there are many medications that eliminate your libido. One is antidepressants, and I know this from working with men. Anti-anxiety meds, antidepressants, they cannot climax. You can stroke them all day long, they cannot come. They can't even make themselves come. Other ones are medications having to do with their your bladder leakage or their prostate. Those all impact the nerves. Also blood pressure medication, opiates for sure. But now we're talking about young people. We're not talking about people with prostate issues. Gen Z is often described as a sexless generation. We are having less sex than previous generations did at the same age. We are less likely to have been on a date. More of us identify as asexual. I'm going to skip some of this. Now, this could be due to early exposure and addiction to online porn. It could be due to risk aversion and fear of rejection, increased awareness of asexuality. But also, she says, there could be another explanation: the widespread use of SSRIs and their sexual side effects. SSRIs are called, they're short for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Try to say that really fast. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. They're a common class of antidepressants used to treat depression, anxiety, and other mental health problems. Examples of these medications are Prozac, Lexapro, and Zoloft. 40 to 65% of people who take these have some form of sexual dysfunction, and these can continue even after you stop taking them. And this is called post-SSRI sexual dysfunction. This is more than just low libido. It can be a total loss of libido, genital numbness, erectile dysfunction, an inability to orgasm, and a complete lack of sexual attraction. Emotional blunting is also common, where sufferers describe having a numbing of positive emotions, no romantic feelings, and difficulty connecting with others. This post-SRI sexual dysfunction can occur immediately after just a few pills, you guys, and persist for years, decades, even permanently. There is no treatment. Despite this being in the medical record since the 90s, patients are rarely warned of the risk, a risk to be thought 1 in 216. Now, the 1 in 216 is the risk of post-SRI sexual dysfunction, where you never get it back. And there are people who do talk about the permanent side effects of even going on benzos or anything, even after you come off of them. But now let's talk about the SSRIs when you're taking them. She writes, which terrifies me given the surge in SSRI prescriptions among Gen Z. In the UK, and that's where Freya India is based, 1 in 3 teenagers has been prescribed antidepressants. 1 in 3 teenagers. We're talking people 12 to 18. Guys, this is a serious problem. Okay, I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, and we cannot medicalize people's feelings. If people are depressed, that is a normal part of life. There are things you can do. Besides telling someone about it, you can accept the fact that sometimes you're going to be depressed. You can go to the gym and work out. You can notice what kind of negative thoughts you're having that are perpetuating it. You can see if there's something in your life causing it that you can change. The number of people who are actually depressed is actually very low, in my opinion. And we know from research that cognitive behavioral therapy or exercise are more effective for depression than these medications. But the pharmaceutical industry will never tell you that. I would never put my kids on one of those. On a sidetrack, ADHD. A kid who's labeled as ADHD, I'm going to be like, clap, because what kid wants to sit perfectly still listening to a boring ass teacher while they're sitting in a chair? That is child abuse. Okay? I would not want to sit in a chair that long. I do not have any ADHD bullshit. They didn't label me like that. But when I was in first grade in Germany, I'm like, I do not want to sit in this chair all day. This sucks. So I asked my teacher if I could stand up behind the chair. And I wasn't a fidgety kid, and she said I could. That's right. And so I stood up behind the chair. We're not meant to sit all day in chairs. That's just so much bullshit. And when someone is not cooperative and compliant and basically brain dead, they label you. This is not medical advice, by the way. Okay, let's continue. In 2022 alone, the number of children aged 13 to 19 taking antidepressants rose by 6,000 to 173,000. That's kids taking drugs known to cause sexual dysfunction. Drugs that the Royal College of Psychiatrists admits to using to castrate drug offenders before puberty. In the UK, antidepressant prescriptions for children between 5 and 12 years old. Antidepressants are prescribed for children in the UK between 5 and 12 years old, increased 40% between 2015 and 2021, age 5. Online forums are already full of people sharing their experiences of puberty and SSRIs and now dealing with sexual dysfunction as adults. Stories of starting Zoloft at age 11 and never developing normal sexual sensation. Being prescribed Prozac at 14 and knowing what it's like to have a libido. Taking Lexapro for less than a month and still having genital numbness 6 years on. If we need to acknowledge the millions in Gen Z taking SSRIs during vital stages of their sexual development and potentially being told their side effects are a valid identity. This seems especially true for girls and young women. In the US, 86% of those identifying as asexual are female. Okay, so in the United States, 86% of people identifying as asexual are female. And most of them, 91% of these women, are aged between 18 to 27, which is also the demographic with the fastest rising rates in the use of mental health medication. Women and adults aged 18 to 29 in America have the highest rates of current depression or depression treatment, and they're also twice as likely to take antidepressants than men. What are the chances that at least some are suffering from sexual dysfunction and thinking it's asexuality, when we know that antidepressant use during developmental years can significantly impair women's sexual desire in adulthood? Now, I'm going to read a couple of these comments on her Substack. One lady says, FX ruined my sex life. I haven't had sex in years, and I don't really care. I'm like a robot. This other one goes, I've been on SSRIs for like a decade and think I'm asexual, LOL, I'm 23. Another one, am I asexual? Do I have post-SSRI sexual disorder? I'm 27 and taking meds since I'm 16. This other one says, on Zoloft and happily asexual. Let's continue. At the same time, there's all these activists and influencers and companies desperate to normalize and destigmatize asexuality. Being asexual is totally fine, teens are told. There's nothing wrong with you, they're told. but is it always completely normal to not feel any sexual attraction? She's saying we can't say that asexuality is always a medical problem, but we also can't pretend that it isn't a possibility. We have young people all over TikTok dismissing other medications, explanations like medication or illness after discovering asexuality. This woman on TikTok Googled, why do I not want to have sex? And she found asexuality, and she stopped questioning it. Amy Butler. She's such a beautiful, vibrant young woman too on TikTok, questioning, her asexuality. And you would never think this woman is drugged in SSRIs. Okay, so then people are just kind of accepting their asexuality. Who cares? Who cares if it could be chemical castration? Well, that plays nicely into the hands of the pharmaceutical industry that makes billions from antidepressants. It buries negative results. And it shows that patient well-being, particularly women's well-being, is not the priority. Companies like Eli Lilly, for example, who developed the drug Seraphim to treat premenstrual dysphoric disorder, they didn't disclose to millions of women, though, that it was actually Prozac just colored pink. With their patent on Prozac expiring, Eli Lilly needed to target a new market, so the drug came before the disorder. 70% of the people who decided on approving this drug had connections to drug companies. Now add to these pharmaceutical giants all these new direct-to-door medication companies like hers, pressuring young women to buy Prozac and Paxil for breakups and job stress and premenstrual symptoms. But hey, you can also get Desire libido supplements and libido gummies if you get chemically castrated. Can we please forgive others for being skeptical? I don't accept that it's ableist or stigmatizing to discuss the side effects of medication, or discriminatory against asexual people that sometimes this could be sexual dysfunctions. Maybe SSRI saved your life, but that doesn't mean they haven't devastated the lives of others. And maybe you are asexual and have never taken antidepressants, but how dare you shut someone down who has? It's so strange to me how progressives seem to reject any skepticism of the mental health industry now. We are a generation more medicalized than any other in history. Our inner lives are colonized by arbitrary DSM diagnoses. So my fear is this. I'm just, skipping over things. She goes, you might not be asexual. You might be suffering from PSSD. You might be a victim of the pharmaceutical industry. That is discrimination. That is $1 trillion industry getting away with chemical castration for profit. There's a growing network of people out there screaming that they've been shut down, unplugged, dulled, their souls vacuumed out, that they feel completely asexual. Nobody's listening. Nobody's fighting for them, which means prescriptions will continue to soar. We will continue to prescribe them to children for stress and sadness and social anxiety. We're a sexless and sedated generation, and we should investigate the connection between the two. You deserve to know if your sexual identity is a side effect. And if enough of us speak up about this, the pharmaceutical industry deserves what's coming to them. So that is Freya, India. And there are a lot of comments on this. I'm not going to read them all, but I'm going to link this Substack article in the post. So hopefully, if you like her articles, you will subscribe to her Substack. I think that's how she supports herself to write more articles. And I'm also going to link the interview that she did on Chris Williamson's podcast. I'm very impressed with her. I think she's very smart, very insightful, and she's very non-judgmental. She's very calm and smart, and I'm very impressed with her. She's like the 24-year-old Joe Rogan, in my opinion, or Jordan Peterson, or whatever influencer you have that actually contributes to people's lives and is smart. So that's why I wanted to make this video. And I'm also interested in your comments. Are you on antidepressants? Have you noticed an effect on your not just your libido, but also your emotions? Have you been to a doctor who tried to prescribe you antidepressant and you said, whoa, what are my other options? And you work your life out without them? Yeah, I would love to hear your comments on this video. This is a very important topic. I am very against medicalizing everything. I think that the majority of people's problems can be solved with a healthy lifestyle, because all these medications have side effects, bad ones, bad side effects. And, I was addicted to Vicodin for 10 years, but I will never take them again, because you know why? They blunted my sex drive. I never want to blunt my sex drive again. I didn't know that would happen, but I was married to a guy I didn't want to fuck, so I didn't care. But I never want to blunt my sex drive again. When I lose my sex drive, I'm like, whoa, what is going on? Like, I want it right there. I want it. It's a sign of my health, When people lose their sex drive, it's because something has happened to them. Some kind of, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor, some kind of child abuse, religious shaming, medication, physical injury. Something has happened. Like, we're supposed to have a sex drive. That's a part of our vitality as human beings. And when it's blunted and when our emotions are blunted, I didn't realize at the time, or I didn't care, but and I was just taking Vicodin, nothing stronger. I can tell you, even if I take a Tylenol, I can't orgasm. Like, it blunts my feeling. That's why when I'm sick, I have the flu, I take a Tylenol. Now I can walk around, I have energy, because it blunts everything. And that I'm just talking about a little Tylenol, regular Tylenol. So that's it for this video. And thank you so much for watching. I look forward to reading your comments.